Oh, more random cattage every time I'm trying to make a video. Come on, kitty. Well, anyways, there's that caravan I bought November last year, so now it's November this year. Remember I bought it with the Canadian Tire cards for turning in old air conditioners and dehumidifiers? Well, now it's been a year, and the only thing I've done to it is change the oil. It's been a great van. That's it. I haven't even washed it yet. But now for its first repair, the starter motor's going click, click, click several times. Now that the leaves have dropped and the weather's getting colder, it's getting much more of a problem doing that. So I'm going to call this video the $5 starter repair. This is the same starter they use in a lot of Toyota vehicles. It's a Nippon Deso. This starter is very similar to the ones in the 3 liters. Well, pretty much exactly the same, but this van happens to be a 3.3. So, these are the parts that wear out. When I get the old ones out, you're going to see a noticeable stepped groove in each one where it makes contact. And you see I didn't pay very much. So before we get into taking apart the starter motor, I need something from one of you guys, as I can't find it at the auto wreckers anywhere here, and it's no longer available at the dealership. My wonderful old white diesel converted caravan, I haven't been able to drive it for 7 weeks because the shifter cable is broken. It's got a standard transmission from a Volkswagen, but a Chrysler shifter cable mechanism. Here's what happened. The end broke off. And it's at a spot where it can't be reattached. So those caravans were so rare to come with a standard transmission that likely none of you guys has a cable from a standard caravan. But I bet the cable from a old Shadow 5-speed or something like that would work. The system uses 2 of these cables, one for the forward and backwards movements of the shifter and one for the back to side to side. Well, the length of the cable from tip to tip is 45 inches. It doesn't have to be exactly 45, it can be longer or shorter and it will work. So if any of you guys got a cable for one of these things, it's 1990 is the vintage. They have these 2 ends on them, plastic ends with rubber inserts. Message me. I'll pay for the shipping and I'll buy it off you too. I'd like to buy both cables in case the next one breaks. Then I can go back to saving some money driving that Econobox. It does get almost 57 miles to the Canadian gallon on the highway. So to get your starter motor out is basically only 2 bolts and 2 wires. The top bolt was the trickiest one. That's what it looks like when it's out. Of course, I disconnected the battery terminal. To get at it, I got at it from underneath that exhaust pipe. And use this little tool combination to get in there with a ratchet. The bottom bolt underneath was just totally easy. Now to change those parts, all we got to undo is this triangle cover. Take out the plunger. There's the copper washer that contacts those things. Lots of dirt, just worn copper, I guess. Yeah, and you can see that they're heavily worn and stepped. No big deal, just undo that nut and bolt, and the one underneath that rubber cover. Slip the new ones in, re-bolt them, put the cap back on, of course with the plunger and spring, and that's it. Your $5 Chrysler starter motor repair, or Toyota starter motor repair, whatever you want to call it. Simple as that. So, bolt is out. Just a couple little nuts. Slip the bolt on to the new one. And it's got to go back in there. Make sure you don't lose your plastic insulating washers. And put the nuts back on. Back in. Took about 2 minutes. Now I got the other side out. And wow, has that ever got a big step worn on it. Oh well, couldn't be a simpler job. Another 2 minutes, now both new ones are in. Make sure that spring's in there. You can also sand that copper edge if you want to clean it up, but it's not 100% important. Don't lubricate this plunger. Maybe that little shaft if you have to. Gaskets on. Simple as that. It took 15 minutes to get the starter motor out of this beast, and about 5 minutes to repair it. The 5-minute, $5 repair job. Awesome. Now time to throw her back in. Those teeth are good. The Bendix doesn't slip. And pretty much nothing else ever goes wrong with these starter motors unless they get water in them. So they're always repairable and always cheap. Nice. It's in now. Battery's hooked up. First try. Perfect. There you go. Now to give it its second oil change in a year.